Hello and welcome to the Wilder Lincolnshire podcast from the Lincolnshire Wildlife Trust. I'm Melvin Pryor. I'm here today with Kev, who's the Mid-Lincolnshire warden. Hi.
I am indeed. Hi there.
Spring has certainly sprung. Just behind you I can see some bluebells and they always smell wonderful, don't they?
They do. Lovely. At this time of the year, it's a marker for summer's on the way.
Now, the fabulous place we've come to today is Red Hill. I've never been here before. I hadn't realised you could see Lincoln Cathedral from this far away.
It's a super place. It's an absolutely super place. It's a meadow, 60 acres of meadow, about 10 acres of triple SI, and where we're standing at the moment, we're standing in a man-made landscape. This was a quarry that was dug out by hand 150 years ago. So what you're seeing now is probably an ancient fragment of Lincolnshire.
Quarrying for what?
They were quarrying for chalk at the time. All along this side of the Wolds, there was chalk quarries that were mined. They were taken off site and the chalk was burned in kilns and turned into limestone.
And where we're standing at the moment, this would be where the horse and cart would have come in and collected it
Absolutely. We're standing on the trackway from the main road. It would run down through to the face of the quarry. And it's amazing, really. All of this was quarried out by hand and moved back onto the road and taken away.
So Red Hill, it does have a reason for being called Red Hill, doesn't it?
It certainly does. The chalk that's exposed on the other side of the quarry has a high deposit of iron in it that was laid down 140 million years ago. That iron has oxidised and became red, so you can see the red chalk from miles away.
Hence the Red Hill.
Hence
so
the
people
Red
will
Hill.
know where we are today. Part of the reason we've come out to this area is to pay tribute to a man who really did something quite special here, didn't he?
Harry Turner, he was very special. He started with the trust about 25 years ago and he was given the remit of chalk-rich downland, grass downland, and he spent 25 years harvesting seed, growing it at home in pots, growing it out on the reserve, and he turned what was 60 acres of arable land into something really very special.
And this is what we call the Coronation Meadow?
This is the Coronation Meadow. It's the award that the Trust received from the then Prince Charles as part of Queen Elizabeth's Jubilee. It's recognised as a very important county-level traditional hay meadow.
And you were very much part of this as well, because when this was awarded, you went to meet royalty, didn't you?
I did indeed. I went up to Highgrove and had a chat with the Prince at the time. And it was a really smashing day out. But it was really down to Harry and the work that he's done over on the Coronation Meadow.
So what was the ambition of Coronation Meadow and how was it developed?
Well, it was developed with the aid of plant life. And it was to be a site that we could grow wildflowers, and these wildflowers we could then harvest the seed and spread around Lincolnshire to sort of make an extension of the Coronation Meadow across Lincolnshire.
And is that what you do now? Do you still collect the seed and distribute?
Yes, we do. We spread the seed on other sites. We have local neighbours around that are turning their land, 400 acres, into something of what the Coronation Meadow looked like, and they're going to do that by using green hay from here this year.
And the plus of that is, of course, it's going to be local seed being used locally.
Local seed, bigger is better for nature reserves. We are facing an uncertainty with climate change, and Red Hill is a small reserve in a sea of intensive agriculture. If we can make it bigger and bigger and bigger, it's more robust to the future.
Now, part of the creation of the Coronation Meadow involved you driving your vehicle with Harry in it, didn't it?
Yes, Harry Turner, he was just a very, very special man. He had broken a bone in his leg and he had a leg in plaster. And previously he'd been gathering a bucket load of cowslip seeds, and that seed had to go out onto the Coronation Meadow. And he wasn't going to let a broken leg stop him from doing that. So he phoned me up and said, "Kevin, can you get me up to Red Hill?" I said, "No, Harry, you've got a broken leg. I can't get you. You're meant to be rested." He said, "I've got this bucket of cowslip seeds though." So I said, "Okay." So I went round to his house. I picked him up. I stuffed him in the back of my truck, strapped him in. We come up to Red Hill and we drove around Red Hill while he was scattering seed out of the window of his truck.
So somebody said to me that's why some of the cowslips are in straight lines, but there was another tale to this, that they became a bit of a circle as well in some people's eyes.
It came up on Facebook that odd crop circles had started to appear of cowslips at Red Hill. And I didn't tell anyone for years, but I'm confessing now it was Harry and I driving round, dropping the seed out.
And what is so special about cowslips? Because they're coming out now. We've seen some in the meadow just at the top, haven't we?
I think it's one of these plants that heralds the start of the year. It's been pretty cold. It's been pretty dry for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Cowslips are coming out. There's probably more than 10,000 plants over in the Coronation Meadow. And when you walk up onto Red Hill and you see that, you might think from a distance it's an oilseed rape field. It's covered in yellow. But you know that spring and summer is just around the corner when you can see all these cowslips out.
Well, I was getting excited on the way to Red Hill because there was a whole area of yellow. I thought, cowslips. But actually, they were dandelions. And they are really out now, aren't they?
They are really out. They're doing really, really well. They're a really good nectar source. And my colleague, who I work with, is gathering the heads of them to make some jam out of them today as we speak.
What, dandelion jam?
Dandelion jam.
Wow.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent. So we've got the cowslips that are coming out into good bloom. Do we need to protect them? I mean, I suppose when people are visiting places like this, the trick is not to stand on them.
It's to look and leave. You know, you come to these sites and without protection, you can damage the things that you've come in to see. So I would just be extremely cautious, be mindful where you're walking and enjoy the view because it's fantastic.
We were talking about collecting the seed then from the Coronation Meadow. So how is that managed? Is it every year that you harvest the seed, or what do you tend to do? And similarly here where we are at Red Hill.
I think it's important to realise that we don't want to take too much seed to damage the stock of plants that we've got out on the Coronation Meadow. So sometimes we gather it by hand. We have groups of volunteers, we have school children, we have various different community groups coming up, and they'll come and collect seed by hand, and they'll take that either to their garden or their school and things like that. On a commercial basis, we're only harvesting a small percentage of the Coronation Meadow each year because, as I said, we don't want to damage or take too much seed that would have a detrimental effect on the wildflowers that we've got out there.
What about the meadow and grassland that we've got here actually on Red Hill then, near to the quarry site?
Well, this is a triple SI, so it's a site of special scientific interest. This side is grazed really with livestock, but on the top we use machines to cut a traditional hay. We take a traditional hay crop off of the top of the meadow, usually right at the end of the year, around about September, when everything has set seed. We come in, we cut it, we row it up, we bale it. We use the hay to feed trussed livestock, and then we graze it with sheep at the end after we've taken the hay.
We've been to see the livestock. They're incredible. It's lovely to know that they're eating the local hay.
Absolutely.
But then you'll bring them sometimes down here to actually, be on the site here as well.
Absolutely. We use sheep on this side.
Right.
We use cattle on that side, but we have rare breed sheep out on here grazing this almost throughout the winter.
I don't think in all the podcasts that we've done, we've really talked about what makes a meadow. Meadow, grassland, is it all the same?
I think it's very subjective what you want to call a meadow. We call a meadow here, what we try to do with our grazing and our hay cutting is drive the nutrients down. Nutrients are a very bad thing on a hay meadow. I always remember when I was younger and I was driving through the countryside, I'd see a very green field and think how wonderful that was for wildlife. But in reality, it's very poor in nectar source plants. What you need is a very poor soil. You need low nutrients, and that will allow wildflowers to grow. Because if you have too many nutrients, you have coarser grasses out competing them, and the coarser grasses will eventually kill off the wildflowers.
And that's a bit like general gardening, isn't it? If you give something too much fertiliser, it could create this wonderful green plant.
Absolutely.
But if you're wanting the flowers,
absolutely,
you have to starve it a bit.
Absolutely. In reality, I would always say to people, leave a portion of your lawn, because it's very rarely that we actually fertilise our lawns. And that constant cutting and removing the cuttings give you an ideal base for wildflowers to grow. And if you just leave that, you'll be surprised at what comes up in there. There can be seeds that have been lying dormant in there for many, many years. And just by being left, you'll have wildflowers in your back garden.
Does the makeup of a meadow then depend on where it is, or are there key things that you need in a meadow to call it a meadow?
Not really. I mean, some people say to have a hay meadow, you need yellow rattle, which is a parasitic wildflower that has a taproot that anchors itself into the ground, but the fine fibrous roots will search out coarser grasses and grab around their roots and suck the nutrients out of the coarser grasses, thereby suppressing these faster growing grasses and promoting more wildflowers. But I think a meadow is a meadow, however you want to call it. As long as it looks beautiful and it's doing a job that you want it to do, that's fine.
This is a lovely place to be. I would imagine you don't tire of coming here, but when you're looking across at the landscape here, people sort of always refer to Lincolnshire as being so flat. Not when you come into the Wolds, is it?
Absolutely not. I mean, I think people forget as well that this was formed by ice sheets gouging their way through the landscape during the end of the last ice age. And what we're left with are these deep valleys and high cliffs. And it's a landscape that's thousands of years old.
Now, we were talking about the Coronation Meadow in relative terms of the land and everything here. That was fairly newly established. Of course, we've got a project taking place further in the south of the county that's also a new project for the Trust.
That's Hawthorpe. And it's very similar to Red Hill in the respect that the Coronation Meadow in the 1990s was a barley field. And 30 years on, it's a mass and a riot of colour that's good for people and it's good for wildlife. And we're trying to do the same down in the south of the county at Hawthorpe.
Now, what we've got here, as we arrived on site, there were several birds singing. I think, was it a white-throat?
It was a white-throat, yeah. Since I've been up here, there's been a white-throat, there's been a black-cap, there's been partridges, there's been pheasants, there's a yellow hammer just in the field there. So yeah, it's a real island. It's not just wildflowers, it's everything that comes to Red Hill.
And you were saying also that quail can sometimes be seen here, but not all the time.
It's a good time to come any time from about June onwards. Where we're standing, if you stand here, you can hear the rhythmical call of the quail moving around in the grasses. Come back in the winter and they're gone.
Now, when we're in the site here, in the actual quarry site, will this be left like it is now? Do you have to manage this quarry site at all?
We do manage the quarry. As I was saying earlier about mowing sites, we would love to mow this, but it's just too steep. The banks are too steep. The landscape itself is too rough. So this is where we rely on our sheep grazing to come in and graze all of the grass that we've got here. But saying that, if you look around, they're starting to get hawthorn trees becoming to grow in here. This process of succession, every habitat, including grasslands, including coastlands, want to become a woodland. And if we don't manage these things, they will turn into a woodland. And Red Hill is desperately trying to turn into a hawthorn woodland. So we might have some volunteers in to come and take out a few trees, but hopefully that's all we'll be doing.
Now, as we mentioned at the beginning, you're the Mid-Links warden, so tell us a bit about the variety of the sites that come under your umbrella.
I think all the wardens will say their regions are the best, but I think mine is fantastic. I'm extremely lucky that I get to manage Chalk Downland up here. As I'm moving down into Woodall Spa, you've got the ancient remnants of the heathlands. So we've got wet heath, wet grasslands. We've also got the farm. I'm responsible for managing the farm, and we use our cattle to do all our management. I couldn't sit on a tractor all day and do everything. I let the cows do it. And cows in the landscape look fantastic. So I'm extremely lucky to be managing such variety of sites that I have.
And on a day like today, early spring, how do you feel? Do you have this anticipation of what the year's going to be like?
At the moment, I'm just panicking about looking at all the weeds that are starting to grow. But yeah, exactly. I mean, I get this throughout the year, even in the winter. The winter's fantastic. It's a time where the landscape's sleeping. It's just waiting to burst into life again. And the spring, you know it's on the way, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what everything does. There's always something that does really well every year, so I'm looking forward to seeing what does well this year.
And is it going to be a good year for the cowslips?
It is at the moment. We're desperate for rain. If we don't get any rain soon, we won't lose the cowslips, but the plants that are coming on afterwards, the orchids in particular, will struggle to get away. You may only have sort of orchids about 2 inches tall because it's so dry up here. It's desiccating wind that we have up here. We're really desperate for rain, as well as the farmers are around in this part of the world.
And would you say this is one of the best places to see them?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's probably 5 or 6 different species of orchids that we've got here. I think Red Hill is one of these things. You come up at this time of year and see cowslips, there's going to be a riot of colour on the Coronation Meadow for the next 6 months. It will go through the whites, the purples, the mauves, and it will finish with purples again at the end of the year.
I'll come back and get that burst of colour. Kev,
You
thank you very much indeed.
No problem.
And that's it for the latest Wilder Lincolnshire podcast from the Lincolnshire Wildlife Trust.